Hi, I'm Joe Sinise. I'm president of the Ontario and Western Rarity Historical Society in Middletown, New York, and I'm also a local collector of Rarityana. And today is the anniversary, 197th anniversary of the running of the Sturbridge line, first locomotive in America's history. And I brought some D&H and Delaware and Hudson Canal artifacts from my personal collection. I do this every year for the Historical Society on the anniversary. I have them on display here. You got a shovel. The shovel's marked D&H Canal Company. Very unusual shovel. Usually they're marked in a smaller spot, but this one is stamped right in the wood. Got some lanterns from the later era with the logo. And then you got some of the earlier Canal Company stuff. Got locks, keys, a couple of tags. Got quite a few things that I brought this year. This is Joey Jr. He's being the conductor this year.
Hello, my name is Beth Ann Keats and I'm a railroad author. I'm pleased to be here on August 8th, 2026 to celebrate the 197th anniversary of the very first running of the Sturbridge Lion. The full-scale replica is behind us, was built by the Delaware and Hudson Railroad Company in 1933. One of the reasons why they had to build the full-scale replica was because the original boiler of the Sturbridge Lion, which is actually shown here in this picture if you'd like to share. This is the original, this is all that remains of the original boiler of the Sturbridge Lion. It now sits at the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Museum. It was taken out of Carbondale in the 1880s, right after America celebrated its 100th anniversary in 1876. The Smithsonian realized the incredible importance of saving some of this original history. So this particular boiler, while it sat at the Smithsonian for many, many years, it was later taken to the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Museum. And you can see if you come in on that picture, that's where it sits at the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Museum, where it sat for over 26 years now, in the main hallway at the very first entranceway of the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Museum in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm pleased to be here today. We've been doing, Joey and I have actually been doing this for several years. I started the 195th, but coming to be able to dedicate the sale and the debut of the book, The Sturbridge Lion, to the Sturbridge Line. This actually came out last year, and we did it to commemorate the 196th anniversary just in time. So this book is for sale here at the museum. I'm doing a book signing of this book and several of our other books here at the museum today on August 8th, 2026. And we're also pleased any of our visitors that come today are going to be able to receive a special commemorative edition card that was stamped by the post office this morning, August 8th, 2026, to celebrate the 197th anniversary. But they are available. And the other thing that we are debuting today here in the museum store is our very special shirts that commemorates that the Sturbridge Lion was the very first steam locomotive to ever run commercially here in the United States of America in the Northern Hemisphere. And we're very proud to say that it actually started just outside this museum here in Honesdale, Pennsylvania on August 8th, 1829. Which is pretty cool. Thank you. So as we know, or maybe some people may know of the story of the Lion, she was originally incepted by Americans here of the Delaware and Hudson Delaware and Hudson Canal Company. And the canal company at that time decided that they needed to, after they had completed the canal, which is 108 miles long, they decided they wanted to take something on an inclined plane, on a plane, to be able to cover the flat areas of the railroad in this area, to be able to get the coal over Music Mountain and into down into the Hudson Valley. This particular engine, although this is the full-scale replica, was originally made so that it could take the flat areas between Honesdale and past Seeley's Mills. So the purpose of it was to make those couple miles. Part of the challenge that this engine had was actually threefold. One, when Horatio Allen actually stepped at the controls, he was able to get it all the way down to the mill area, but this stack up here, because it was over 10 foot tall, would not fit under the bridge, so he couldn't go any further. The other challenge with this particular engine was the the rails that she ran on, you didn't have what we have today is T-rails. You actually had strap iron. So these strap iron rails were not even able to be created here in America. They were actually also made in England. They were rolled steel. They were about 5 foot long, and they were screwed and nailed into fresh hemlock timbers. The timbers themselves were able to be big, but unfortunately part of the challenge is the weight of the engine coming in at over 7 tons actually caused damage to every one of these rails. So every one of these rails, you can even see it here, is slightly bowed, but that would create a hump every time an engine ran over it. So ultimately, they realized the weight of this engine, even though it had been originally spec'd to come in at 4 to 5 tons, it came in at over 7 tons. And when you come in that heavy, and you also have pistons that are driving down on the wheels, as opposed to sideways, back and forth, the way they do now, they realized that it was really just too much of a grasshopper action to be able to successfully have this engine run on the rails. So there was several different things that were actually stacked against this engine. But it is interesting to know that Honesdale can still maintain the claim that this is the first steam locomotive to run commercially here in the United States of America. This is a live scale replica of the engine. It does run right now. It's up on blocks because they're working to figure out how they could potentially run it with just air as opposed to firing the boiler up. I will be taking this to Steamtown for Railfest Labor Day weekend. So that'll be a fun experience. And if you want to see show the action, I'll bring you over to this little tiny live one over here that was built several years ago. I don't know if there's a date on here, but this will actually show you. This is the action of what the engine actually does. So as you can see, the pistons are going up and down, running on the strap rail. It's just pretty cool. And then if you want to follow me over here, I can take you through some of these items, showcase what some of the different canal boats in this area look like. The canal was 108 miles long. It was financed $1 million was raised in less than a couple hours in New York City when they brought, when Horatio Allen and some of the other members, Jervis, etc., brought the anthracite coal to New York City to showcase how important and how different the anthracite coal was as compared to bituminous coal. The fun part about anthracite coal is it's as hard as it is. I can show you a small chunk of anthracite coal if you'd like to follow me over here. So the small chunk of anthracite coal I call small. It's actually over 13,600 pounds. This was mined in the Marvell mine of the Hudson Coal Company in 1882. And it's been moved a couple times, but what's interesting and fascinating about this is they call it stone coal, and it doesn't show any dirt on your hands. Because it's so hard, it's hard like a diamond. They call this, there's several different names for it. But it's because of the hardness of it that it created the ability to burn longer, slower, and was actually much more economical, whereas the bituminous coal was so soft you're going to get charcoal all over your fingers. You don't get that charcoal from this coal. It takes a lot more energy to actually get it started, but once it gets burning, it seems to burn forever. The other thing that is really cool about this particular area is the other thing that has been saved from the Delaware and Hudson Canal Company, actually, is our Eclipse. The Eclipse was actually a passenger coach for the Gravity Railroad. It was built by the Delaware and Hudson Canal Company, and it's really this is actually from the 1920s, showing it actually run in the area, which is actually cool.
Boy, you ought to see the inside of this.
Yeah, the inside of this is gorgeous. The flag behind this U.S. Navy veteran right now is something that I just recently donated. It's officially being donated today. It is a 24-star American flag. This 24-star flag was actually flown from July 4th, 1822 to July 3rd, 1836, and it became the very first version of the flag that was originally nicknamed Old Glory. This was actually the official flag that flew at the time that the Sturbridge Lion ran. I found out that the museum didn't actually have one. So I graciously had one actually made. It took the flag company several weeks to special order and special make this particular flag. And we're very proud to be able to have it donated to the museum, which is really cool. The Eclipse will take you inside. There's not a whole lot of lighting in here, but what's interesting about the interior of this coach is how beautiful.
Had a torch because it always says
Joey.
So the interior of this coach is extremely ornate. So it has its own pull-down shades that all retract up into the top. They're all wooden shades, which is cool. I'm not touching them. But it's all hand-carved. It's all hand-painted with gold leaf all up in here with beautiful designs. And the seats were all originally velvet, which is, you know, these have all been very well maintained. These seats would actually reverse. I'm not doing that anymore because it's probably, because of the age of this, it's over 100 plus years. But the seats do all reverse, so the coach didn't have to turn around to be able to get the seats to go the right way. You were able to actually just flip the seats back and forth, kind of like some of the trolley cars used to do, which is kind of neat. There is a wonderful little video that you can see in here if you come in and enjoy learning about the incredible history of this coach and the museum. There's actually quite a lot to see here in the museum. It's pretty cool. They would not have had electric lamps in here. These probably would have been gas. Just a guess. All right, so come along and follow me, and we'll get to tour some of the rest of the museum. So this particular was a Paymaster buggy from the Delaware and Hudson Canal Company. It was used by the Paymaster Sol Ackerman of Rosendale, New York. So this is an original Paymaster buggy. So he would go around and get his collections. And that's why it's here in the museum. The doorway behind us was from some of the machine shops, and some of the pictures that you see over here shows it in the center of the photographs. So this is actually showing that door, this door, where it was originally mounted. It's pretty cool. A little tiny piece of coal. So from underwear to sleepwear to everywhere, this is the history of the Katz Underwear Factory. This is our display for the next year and a half. So from 1898 to 1991, this particular area showcases some of the different types of clothing and pajamas that the Katz Underwear Company, which is local right here in Honesdale, produced. The first factory was erected in 1899. An old chair. What's fun about this museum is as you go deeper, it gets cooler because we're going into the basement. So this shows some of the different treadle sewing machines that they used, and some of the different types of clothing that would have been popular in the early 1900s and forward. So this is a sales control map of the United States, but it showcases all the incredible different areas that the Katz Underwear Company actually expanded into. Our mothers and grandmothers, and great-grandmothers probably all wore a lot of these different things at times over the years. Pretty cool. But look at how colorful everything is. I love the cat. They took back some of the different things. It's pretty cool. And we've got lots of guests and visitors visiting today. This is the 1980s. This area shows the 1980s. We've got more floral, different types of things. And the wide skirts and pants and different things. And then we always added the cats. So you've got to have the cats and kittens. So this is 1989. And then here's another display case that showcases some of the different cats, kittens. It wasn't just the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Museum and the Chessie and all that that had cats and kittens. There was a lot of different kittens and cats. It's pretty cool. So these are some of the different employees. They made a lot of their own lace, so they would have been able to use these for the trims on some of the different things. A lot of pieces of trim. And then as we go down into the museum, this shows some of the intricate workings of how the cable cash carrier worked. This is what they would use to get different things working. I'm on mic.
How you doing?
This is my husband, Brian.
How you doing?
So this took it all over the place. It would have been up in the ceiling of the stores to be able to get the cash from one side all the way up to the paymaster upstairs. Big pulley system.
Yes.
And this is only a very small section of it. The ropes are pretty old. So Wayne County honors our heroes. This is the General Lyman Lemonster area. He was a 4-star Army general and everybody is very proud in this area to be able to honor him. There's actually a statue out front that memorializes him and his family. Shows some of the different uniforms and things. This was a secretary desks is over here. From Alson Blood arrived. He arrived in Honesdale in 1828 with her brother.
That much are
Pretty cool.
that dates from 1828?
According to this, what is there, it dates from 1828. So this is a rather old secretary, but it was later passed down in the Lemonster family and then donated to the museum. Pretty cool.
Very interesting.
Yeah, we've got a lot of really older pieces in here, which is kind of neat. Some of the different uniforms that kind of went through the different eras. And then this case also has some memorabilia from Lemonster Day, September 26, 1970. There was a huge dedication ceremony. He was involved with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers working on the Lackawanna River project. There was a lot of flooding here at one point, and he made sure that that wasn't going to ever happen again by making sure that it was properly routed. The canals, when the canals were dug, it kind of joined, you got to remember that it joined two different rivers right in this area. So the Lackawaxen and the Dingman's Ferry join right here in this immediate area. It was originally, Honesdale itself wasn't incorporated until 1831. But so the Lion was actually here first, but it was actually called Dyeberry Forks for the area. Back here we've got the Vernon Leslie collection of a lot of Native American Indian collections. This includes an entire canoe. It's really kind of neat. So this is the contact period from 1600 to 1780. So this would have been when when people from Europe first came to the area, I should say.
Where was that found?
This particular dugout canoe was found by Stanley and Lyon Comiskey in the bottom of a pond in Cold Springs, Pennsylvania in 1979. Originally made from a log, it was hollowed out using fire and an iron tool, probably obtained from European settlers. A depression can be seen near the notch that was created by a musket ball. So I don't know, it's probably in here maybe? Maybe if this was, that might have been why it was at the bottom of the river. Just a guess. We think that the canoe has been dated between 1650 and 1700, which was prior to the settlement of this area by Europeans. When you got to remember, when the canal was actually dug in the 1820s, there wasn't much here but trees. So there was a lot of logging that was done in order to remove a lot of different things from this area. Even though there was a lot going on in New York and Philadelphia and other areas not too far from here, this area was not fully developed until after the lion ran in 1829. That's when the industry, the coal industry, really, really took off. A lot of arrowheads, a lot of Native American things that have been found all over this area. But Vernon Leslie took the time not only to locate and find all these things, but he also categorized and memorialized every single different piece that he had. That's why there's numbers on everything. It shows where they were found. They could probably put a date and a specific location on every single one that was found. It's pretty interesting.
Very interesting.
A lot of history. The Delaware River was very popular. So Dr. Vernon Leslie was a teacher, historian, archaeologist, and author. He lived from 1909 to 1994, and he's very famous for, in his later years, having this walking stick with him all the time. So now we're going to go upstairs. There's a little bit more. You can either take the elevator or walk the stairs. We're going to walk the stairs today. Carefully. But even in this hallway, we've got all sorts of, they call this the sign hallway. So the Historical Society makes sure that they actually save some of the old signs from the local industries, which is really kind of special. Because although the businesses may be gone, the signs still live on. They call this the sign cemetery, where they all come when nobody else is interested. This is one of our newer, the Cherry Ridge Dental Centers. It's kind of cool. That would have been on the top of a pole. At the Wayne Hotel, probably. So now we're going to be going into Wayne County's glass and window pane, the White House crystal area. But it showcases the glass hallway, the incredible glass working things that were done by Dorflinger and several other glass cutters and makers in the area. One of many things that is very special about Dorflinger is the fact that they were in the International Expedition in 1876. So this is actually the original certificate of award to the Dorflinger Glass Company in White Mills, Wayne County, Pennsylvania, for glass tablewares. And what they were given the award for was a punch bowl, and they had actually made, I want to say that it's, so there's the New York seal. The only one that's left is this particular one, New York State seal, wine glass, cut and engraved. It was made for the 1876 centennial in Philadelphia, and it was awarded this award. It's one of 38 glasses. There was one for each state in the Union at that time, and there's only a couple of them left. The decanters, we don't have a picture. We have a picture, but we don't have the decanter itself. But the glasswork is incredible. There's mirrors and glasswork, so they did lamps, table pieces. There was some bone china, mirrors. This is the parts of the Maple City Glass Company. This is another Dorflinger punch bowl and glasses. This was done in 1917. It was a one-of-the-kind set. It's set in a brass and carved wood base for the Chicago World's Fair. So the lion was also at the Chicago World's Fair. It's over 100 years old now, since we're past 1917. But they also did different things with gold leaf. This is actually the Honesdale Decorating Company and the Herbert Demmer Cut Glass Company. So they added a lot of gold leaf and did designs in the gold leaf. So it was more painted than etched, but it was incredible as well. I love the roosters.
Yes.
Pretty cool. And this shows some of the upper floor of the glass cutting department of Dorflinger. They also have a beautiful museum not too far from here. But these are some of the workings. You see all of those pulleys and things would have been driven by a steam engine. And if you go to the museum, you can actually see the steam boiler in the basement still, which is cool. It's almost as big as the one that we have here. Not quite, but almost. It's pretty cool. This shows the benches of what was in the factory. One of the other displays that we have today and is available, we actually had, it shows the Tory building being moved. And as we go into this other little building around the corner here, you'll see this particular building and why it was moved in here. It was going to be demolished, and instead of demolishing it, they actually moved it down the street and brought it in. So we've got 50 years of the Woodland Weavers and Spinners Guild with a display here today. Talks about teaching, learning, and exchanging ideas and techniques related to weaving and spinning. And this showcases the work of all the guild members. So there's quite a lot of very unusual things in this room. It's pretty cool.
Very interesting.
Yep. And then we get to bring you to the other part of our great exhibit. So this is everyone. We have free snacks for anybody that's interested that comes to see the lion today. But this is what Wayne County looked like in 1776. So we have a collection of all sorts of different things that were around in some of the different eras. So this was the flag that was the Bennington flag, actually, that showcases what the flag in 1976 looked like.
Or 17, right?
Yeah, 1776. So there's we brought some of the older flags. They're actually, the flags themselves are all part of the collection here at the Wayne County Historical Society. We, of course, have to have the Declaration of Independence. This was signed July 4th, 1776 in Philadelphia, and everyone is very proud to say that we actually have one of the signers, James Wilson, is actually buried here in Wayne County. So we do have a little bit of a claim to fame from 1776 when we can say that he was buried here. I don't know how much time he spent here prior to that, but we've had readings of the Declaration of Independence here. I read it a couple days right in the center square of Honesdale, so we were very proud to be able to do that. The little boy's outfit that's over here was actually worn by my father several years ago. So he wore this for the first National Jamboree in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. It was created directly for him. My boys also wore it at different times, which is kind of cool. Talks about all the different things. This flag was flown here in Honesdale by the Hiller family in 1976, and it flew outside for the full year. The Betsy Ross flag is actually all knitted and it was donated by one of the members. It's pretty cool. Old clock.
Anything for lunch?
How many new?
Thank you. Brian?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
So we made all sorts of things.
Go ahead.
So this is the Children's History Lab. What's cool is it is in the basement, but the Children's History Lab has sessions that talks to you about family genealogy, the Oregon Trail, finding your roots. So it talks about a lot of different things as you go through the eras and the ages. It allows the kids to try on different clothes so they can play dress up if they want at some of the different things. The outfits are adorable, as you can only imagine. But so you can dress yourself up as Railroad if you want. And then we also had these displays. These are actually kind of new, but the kids can play and make different outfits. So here's a painter. Different things, but they're all four of them are different. So you got a male person, an engineer, a mechanic or firefighter, and then you've got animals and critters as well. That was kind of cool. So somebody had fun making chickens and farmers and cows. all sorts of different things. And a great area for kids to play in. They can play with the trains and, you know, set up different things for hitching a ride with gravity, making a train, and they can view, although they can't enter this, they can see what an old wigwam used to look like and how it was built with different pieces of wood, some of the different tanning things that are available at the time. This was a great, huge tanning area because of the number of hemlocks and birch trees that we had in this particular area. And then, I guess I'm kind of going a little backwards, but this is the life of the Lenape Indians. So this talks about some of the different Native American Indian things and cultures that we used to have in this immediate area. You can put puzzles. These are big puzzles that you can put together and take apart. It's kind of neat. All woodworking, different things. Follow the, you know, this would have been a chicken, how you put a chicken coop together. Plant your own garden if you want to. There's cabbages and all sorts of different things that you can just dig in a little bit. This is all, you know, rubberized mulch, but different things that you can plant a garden, make it kind of special for different people, and then organize it differently with a basket. Take yourself to the market. And then this is what a colonial home of the time would have looked like in Honesdale and in this area at the completion of the Delaware and Hudson Canal Company. So it kind of gives you an eye view of what the interior of a house would have looked like back in the day. Kind of neat. Old school desk. Hands-on homestead. This is a map of the area. So this actually shows you the different configurations of the street here in Honesdale. It was a portion reduced of an 1851 map. Kind of neat.
Good, yes, it is.
It's sweet. Anyway, so that's the history lab for the kids. Pretty neat.
Good.
Anyway, I think that pretty much, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Happy to be able to
Definitely, yes.
give you a little bit of a running narrative of the whole museum, kind of, sort of, and Carol Dunn is probably better at it than me.
Headed down to the house here on the canal.
Welcome to the Daniels Farmhouse Kitchen and Canal Store. I'm Sally Talega, and I'm a volunteer for the Wayne County Historical Society, who own the building and the property that the building is on, which we call the D&H Canal Park at Lock 31. And it's the geographic location is 179 Texas Palmyra Highway in Hawley, PA 18428 if you are coming via GPS and all. It's almost an 18-acre park, and in the park, of course, we have this old farmhouse which dates back to the 1820s. We have several miles of trails. One is a very even trail. It's called our towpath trail. Because it's the former towpath of the D&H Canal, which goes right through the property. We have 1 mile of former canal, and like I mentioned, the towpath. But in addition to that, we have other trails. One that's my favorite is the Riverside Trail, and that's a loop that goes along the Lackawaxen River. So let me give you a little bit of background of where this park is in relationship to where to the Sturbridge Lion locomotive, which we're celebrating the anniversary of the running today. First of all, you probably know already by earlier in the film that the Sturbridge Lion was built in Stourbridge, England, and then made its way across the Atlantic Ocean to the New York City harbor, up the Hudson River, and then it was placed on a canal boat in Kingston, New York, and made its way 108 miles which included past in our park here to Honesdale, PA, where it was offloaded, and on August 8th, 1829, it was the trial run. So the park relates to the lion in that way, really just in that way. And in the building here, we've restored the building as close as we can tell to the original. We do not know where exactly on the property the canal store was, but we're putting it in the kitchen. And in the canal store, we have various books and maps and other souvenir type things that relate to the Delaware and Hudson Canal, and also local history, like our town, which is right up 2 miles northwest of here, White Mills, with its glass industry. And then 1 mile east of here is Hawley, of which the canal went through both of these towns. So we do include those books and maps here. And this is our area right here where we do have some Sturbridge Lion books, written material, and some memorabilia, including a very nice hidden pictures from Highlights for Children. Produced this hidden pictures in one of its issues, and they reissued it and made wonderful copies for us that is popular with anyone who likes hidden pictures. So the name of the park is the D&H Canal Park at Lock 31, and that is because Lock 31 is right about 20 feet from the door of our building. And the other point that I want to make about our park is this is the only portion of the former canal that is open to the public. All the other portions of the canal in Pennsylvania, well, especially Wayne County, is in private hands. So it's our park. It's our main museum in Honesdale, which was the office of the canal in Honesdale. That, of course, is open to the public. And then there is a park in Hawley called Bingham Park, which was a former basin. And that is a community park there with a playground and farmer's market and baseball, tennis, etc. field. There's a small lock house in Pike County that is open to the public periodically by the Pike County Historical Society. So it's unique in that there's not a whole lot of places you can visit without trespassing to see the former canal. Besides the canal store being open every Saturday from noon to 4 from Memorial Day through Columbus Day, we have guided house tours at 2 o'clock, those same Saturdays from 2 to 3, and what we call tea at the tavern at 3 o'clock. We don't rush out, but it's approximately 3 to 4. But those two are by reservations via our website, because we have to make sure we have food and the house and all the rest of the house. You can view whenever we're open. Saturdays, Memorial Day to Columbus Day, noon to 4. Our website is www.waynehistorypa.com. So negotiate that website and click on the D&H Canal Park section, and you can make reservations ahead of time, at least 24 hours ahead of the day you want to tour or have tea.
Out here at the canal, what's left of it, outside the museum, looking back up towards Carbondale, this was the canal, and all these boats, similar to that big model they have up there, they used to float down here, pulled by mules or horses with the coal. Swing around the other way, and looking the other way, it was actually, I guess they said a lock was right here You can still see some of the old wood. But this dates way back the early 1800s when they made this. That was the highway transportation back then, the canal. Somewhere along here, these mules or horses used to walk, and they'd be pulling these canal boats, loaded down with coal. Okay, from this side you can see that's just a shell of a boat, built roughly the same size they were, but just a shell. Inside that shell, they were pretty big. These boats were probably very heavy too, especially when laden down with coal. That's the type of rope they'd use to tie the boat here to anchor it. And we're looking up the canal up towards Carbondale.